Okay, right, let's start again, shall we? So today's the off day from MSI, so we're going to do some VOD reviews and kind of revisit some of the games that we've already seen from play-ins. Now, I wanted to go through kind of like the more, I guess, analytically interesting games. So I thought I'd do some of the qualifying series. I was thinking about doing T1 Fly and then Fnatic Top Esports. I will see whether I am alive enough to do Flyquest PSG after that point. It was a 2-game series, so we'll figure that out as we go along. Either way, we're starting with T1 versus Flyquest. This was the series which qualified T1 into play-ins, and when we go through these first bans already, I think there's a couple of interesting things. So these picks from these bans from Flyquest, these ones, are kind of like very strong topside champions where the Vi is very strong for T1 because T1 can play through dominant lanes very easily, and Vi just kind of thrives on dominant lanes. She can gank very well, but she has a weak early game, so she needs those lanes to kind of do a lot of heavy lifting. And Twisted Fate is one of the strongest individual top laners on the patch. And if we're playing stuff like the Urgot, which we saw against PSG, then even the TF can deal with that. Can deal with even that, really. So I think they're removing some topside power to allow kind of Bwipo and Inspired into the game, which of course are two of the more reputable players from Flyquest. They have like some of the highest expectations. Whereas we're leaving a lot of bot lane picks open. Of course the Nautilus is gone, but you know, it's only Kalista out of the AD carry pool which has been taken away. And this is a really important moment. It's a really, really important moment. Because Senna is a strong champion, obviously. But Senna doesn't always do well against stuff, particularly Kalista's one of them, but the other one's Varus. Now, if you pick Varus Renata or something like that into the Senna, then what tends to happen is, because Senna right now isn't being picked with stuff like, remember when we saw like Kalista Senna and Samira Senna and stuff like that earlier in the split, where we saw like more ranged champions with the Senna? It's not really happening right now. We only really see the bruises and the tanks coming along the side of the Senna, which means that if you have a good anti-tank AD carry right from the early game against the Senna, the lane pairing of Senna is always going to suffer, and that's why Varus is good, because Varus is one of those good anti-tank kind of early game champions. Same with the Kalista. So now you have to look at Flyquest and say, well, the Senna and likely the Tahm Kench, because the Nautilus is banned, is likely coming in your way. Could also be Senna Ornn as well. You can flex that. What answer do you have in the bot lane? Flyquest bot lane 2v2 has not been great. It's one of the kind of like largest areas of concern for Flyquest. But Varus is a comfort pick for Masu. So this is still kind of working into his wheelhouse pretty well. So what else do you lock in now? You could also lock in a strong jungler right now, because you know the Tahm Kench is coming on you know the Tahm Kench is coming on too. You could lock in something like a Xin Zhao if you really wanted, or you could lock in Orianna for Jensen, Orianna Azir, something which is kind of lane dominant for Jensen. I think his Orianna's been pretty good. But like jungle or like priority mid I think is good. I think you want to counter pick top on red side. But yeah, you want to give yourself like one of these more blind pickable strong champions from mid or jungle, I think. So they go for the Orianna. Orianna is one of the strongest laning champions in the game right now. Not many things like can push her around too much. So they lock in the Azir. Faker's obviously very, very good at the Orianna Azir matchup on both sides of these things. I think Faker's very skilled at the mage versus mage matchups, including the Orianna. And of course the Tahm Kench comes in for T1 as well to complete in that bot lane. You knew that was going to come through. When you lock the Senna, it's very likely you lock in the support on 2-3 as well, unless you're really flexing your champion pool. And on the other side, Masu and BCO, this is something that we talked about already. They have a very, very good kind of on-hit Varus build now for Varus Renata to kind of chew through tank frontline right away from the early game. So as it stands, T1 do have really good scaling with the Senna, and I think Senna Azir are very good long-range backline carries. But there could be some laning worries for bot lane just because of draft. Not because of players, but because of draft. So now Flyquest are probably banning stuff which can prop up their lanes as best as possible, and maybe they ban away one of the better blind pick top laners. They banned away the K'Sante and the TF, which are very good blind pick top laners, which would stop Bwipo and Inspired having, you know, full reign over top side. And I think T1 want to ban away anything which can play around winning lane as well. So the Vi's already gone from Flyquest, so they banned away a champion, which is good for themselves. Now, at this point in the draft, of course, you don't necessarily know in first round of bans. But also, planning away the Lee Sin and maybe banning away something like the Xin Sao could be very valuable too, because they just leverage off of winning lanes well. They just kind of keep walking through that. Actually, instead, it's Flyquest which are doing that. So there's multiple jungle bans, lots of jungle bans going down. And all of these are kind of like the early jungle priority ones. So we're kind of left with what? Poppy, Viego, Volibear, I guess, are the three, which are kind of the three early game champions, which are still kind of up on the table. Let me speed this up. So what are we last banning from T1? So they ban away another... Huh, now that's interesting to me. So, T1, we talked about in their Astral games, they were very good at lane swaps. Udyr is very good at soaking XP at level 1 because he's very tanky, and he has his kind of ultimate available from level 1 by double activating a spell. So we can either do that with the shieldy one, or you can do it with the wave cleary one for the Wingborn Storm on the Phoenix Stancy thing, because that allows him to kind of like get good wave clear. So maybe the T1 are angling for a lane swap at this point. We can see. I mean, it would switch out of the Varus Renata lane, which is a very lane dominant lane. It would allow you to avoid that. Lots of jungle bans in terms of like the early power. I don't know if I love Graves. They lock it in anyway. Graves is very fast at farming, so they can get onto the other side of the map well. In terms of like they clear their own camps, then run over to your side of the jungle well. But I don't love this. Why this Graves? Why Graves? Why Graves? Why Graves? It's another long range champion, but you are against. You're against the Senna Azir, which are also very long range in their own right. And I really feel like Senna... This is going to sound a little strange, but obviously Senna E has a lot of value here because you have a lot of auto-attackers now with the Graves and the Varus, which means it's harder for them to get kind of point-and-click. Though I guess if Graves is auto-attacking, maybe you're within the Shroud distance anyway. There's some niche situations where that's not great. You're not great at bot side 3v3, so if you're going towards ganking the Senna Tahm Kench lane, the Graves is only got the Renata for setup, and the Renata CC is not that heavy. The handshake's nice, but it's not like instant death, kind of like Leona Nautilus, you're CC'd for forever. Maybe what Inspired is hoping is that his lane, he's got winning lanes in mid and bot lane, and they can counterpick top lane for another winning lane, that you'll have 3 winning lanes with a farming jungle that can get huge value. That is the logic, which on its own is good, but I just don't know how Graves functions into this team comp very well. Graves is not the best tank killer right now. I wonder if they should have picked... I wonder if they should... I mean, I don't think Poppy's great in this game because there's no dash champions on the other side when you lock it in the Graves. I wonder if Viego would have been better for Inspired, just because Viego is... Again, it's another carry, but it's also something which just kind of can impact the game earlier than something like the Graves. I think... Or maybe even Volibear. I think Volibear would have also been good to just kind of like play off these winning lanes. I think those two champions I would have liked more. I think the Graves is quite greedy from Inspired. I think that's saying... You know, my lanes will win and I'll get value, but it's a win harder champion. And then T1 respond with Viego and the Ornn. Now, as we said, Viego is one of the last remaining kind of early power champions. I do think it is quite bold picking this Ornn, because Ornn is not a lane dominant champion. Not anymore anyway. You can definitely counterpick an Ornn. You can definitely counterpick an Ornn. You know, what happens if you pick like a % HP matchup on the other side now? You could even pick a ranged top if you wanted from Flyquest. It'd be risky, because then you'd be playing with 0 tanks versus, you know, Ornn, which is long range, the Senna ult, which means that, you know, both of them, if they combo their ults onto a backlane target, they kill them very quickly. Yeah, I think Camille would actually be very good demolition. Zapshift, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think that's something like Camille could work really well, because that actually gives you some setup for the Graves at that point, and then you can have like the Camille with the Renata all kind of running under the Hextech ultimatum as well. And all of this kind of goes in very well. And then you have Camille Oriana, which is a nice combo too. So yeah, Camille could very much work for Bippo here, and it works quite well in a tank matchup. You don't have like the tank for tank matchup in terms of K'Sante and Udyr. If you want frontline, I guess the other tank which has been played, I mean, you don't want to play, and if you don't want to lane swap here with these lanes, I don't think so. You've got loads of winning lanes. You'd rather just play through standard stuff. You could play with something like a Zac, though. I think Zac's fine. So if you wanted to go for the lane swap, you could go for a Scion. I think, well, actually, MMS has used Zac in the lane swap as well. So you could go for either of those, I think, though, still. I think probably the Zac's better because it's got a better matchup into Ornn with percent of HP damage. You could also go for something ranged top lane if you really wanted, or even something like a Renekton could work really well. Renekton's also pretty good into the Ornn and then kind of combos up well with the Graves. Not great against the Tahm Kench and then the backline of the center Azir. It's quite hard for him to get onto a target well and then before they disengage. So, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm wondering now what you go for your last pick, because I think you're aiming now to just hyper win lanes and then just snowball huge amounts of gold through both jungle and then your individual lanes, that when you turn up to the first objectives of the game, like First Dragon and Grubs, that you run away with those fights there. And yeah, and I think Camille could have been better here. I think that... What else could you go into the Ornn? I think Renekton has some angles if you want a hyper bully early game. Anything else? I mean, the Urgot's gone, so you can't use that. Yeah, I think this Graves pick is actually the biggest sore thumb for me, because you have 3 winning lanes, but a jungler that can't really leverage off of that well. I mean, you can still get some stuff, but it's not the same, right? Where I guess if you push in on mid and top or mid and bot, you can have... If Jensen does well in lane with the Orianna, and it is a pretty good matchup into the Azir, you can push in with on one side of the map, and Graves can go into engage with something like a Zac jumping over a wall. So that's quite dangerous. So T1 do have very dangerous lanes to kind of play around. So we've talked about it from the Flyquest side quite a lot. What about the T1 side? Because I think that they have really, really good scaling. Now, if Flyquest ever miss their engage, suddenly Ornn responds very quickly. Suddenly you have the Senna, which makes things very hard to land a good engage too. Or rather, like, with the E, that definitely helps. But then if you miss, you have Senna W, you have Ornn, you've got a Azir ult to disengage, you have the Tahm Kench Devour. And also, if we're talking about disengage, Viego is the best disengaged jungler in the game, actually. Because what happens with Viego is that if you throw CC at him, he goes unstoppable with his ultimate and flies backwards. So if you have Flash, you have ult, you have W, you have your camouflage from your E as well. Viego is very hard to pick off. So what T1 have said is that, yes, you might be winning lanes, on paper, but when it comes to you making aggressive plays, if you ever get impatient, T1 will disengage very effectively, and once we disengage, our turnaround is absolutely brutal, because if you try and engage onto a Senna and Azir's nearby, that's a really bad box, that's like Senna and half for Tahm Kench, and then if you go onto the Senna and you miss, you have Azir soldiers right underneath you. And there's a good chance that Faker can separate out the team as well. And then you also have, of course, anyone you try and pick off, Tahm Kench can devour. And while all of this is happening, you have the threat of resets coming through from Viego. If Ornn is in the same fucking star system as you, he just presses his ult button, that's a response as well. And then suddenly you look at that and you say, well, these are 3 no mobility champions on the bot side that can't dodge themselves when the kind of counterfire comes in from T1. And even Graves as a low range champion doesn't really want to be part of that. So I don't like this Graves. I think you need something that can more reliably force plays. If you had a Volibear that could like flash Q around a broken map state, in a 5v5 it's not great, because Volibear then just, their target gets devoured or whatever. But I think in the early game, if you had something like a Volibear, I think this would be much, much better for Flyquest. I think this is not the style of draft. This would work in 2020, because Graves would be stupidly strong, or 21 or whatever. Do I want to cast Valence League Div 2 Finals, Losers Finals? Look, DM me about that on Discord. DM me about it, and I'll see what I can do. But I'm gonna say it's unlikely. But just DM me anyway, and we can see. Right? I'll have a think about it, because I do like having a break as well. But also I like Valence League. They're very cool. Very cool amateur tournament based in EU for those that don't know. Right. Anyway, let's get on with this. We've talked about our problems with the Graves. How T1 they might be losing lanes technically. They're not going to be pushing in. But if Flyquest ever misstep on an engage, T1 are going to punish very, very, very hard, because they have lots of counter-engage tools and lots of ways to escape the initial engage. I'm Kuxana as well, thanks for follow too. Right, let's get into game. And I need to move my camera as well, don't I? Yes, I do. Right, where am I? Move over here. Become slightly smaller. Nocturne would be better than Graves. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. Because then you could go for the Nocturne Oriana combo. Again, the same kind of problem exists that where if you're a Nocturne at that point, you go into the Tahm Kench and then everything else. So then that one can struggle a little bit because that's more about your 5v5 engages later. And I think it can struggle versus Viego because Viego can kind of ult backwards from your engage. Like you can tank the Nocturne ultimate, then R backwards if you time it right. Although the Nocturne Ori combo gets a bit weird with that. Anyway, yeah, so I think that Nocturne maybe impacts the game a little too late for what Flyquest comp wants, but even then I think it'd be better than Graves, yeah. Yeah, I think there's some good logic there. Good logic there. Okay, so now we get into the game. It doesn't look like a lane swap right now, which is what technically Flyquest would want. I think there is some logic to say that, well, I mean, if you're lane swapping as a Senna, then the Senna's not as good at taking value from the early game, but you do escape the lane. So maybe T1 are just saying, look, we're good enough laners, just as people, as players, that we don't care that we have losing lane matchups on paper. Good double E from Masu. Burn the Guardian as well, waiting for the second Varus cooldown if they can. Whipperhead takes a really good level 1 trade. And then completely fricks it. Hang on, let's slow this down, actually. Because this is really important for Flyquest. The first few trades of the game are really important here, because they'll give junglers a lot more, or either constrain junglers or give them more options. Like, Whippo's using the W start really, really well on the Zac. It's not Conqueror Zac anymore, we used to have that. But then, like, what's he doing walking into a second W? Isn't Tarmakan's knocked in? Yeah, it's not great. But what is Whippo doing walking into a second W? What Whippo's trying to do is he's trying to get, like, W on the wave to guarantee lane shove, because he's hitting 7 targets here, right? Or, yeah, 6 minions and then 1 champion as well. But On Brittle does so much work. He doesn't trade back nearly anything onto him. So suddenly Whippo's not got the best. He should have had a better level 1. And especially since, you know, Owner is pathing away from... did anyone get any early jungle vision? No. So no one knows the jungle pathing, really. But they know that there were no leashes, but we kind of knew that anyway, likely. How to fake a level 2 first in mid? Oh, I think Jensen maybe wants it to push back to him, so Inspired can maybe get a smoke screen onto Faker. But, like, how does Graves even gank mid? He can't threaten mid at all. Okay, Whipper gets a nice trade there. No Brittle trade back. So yeah, on the whole, Flyquest are using... they're getting push in early lanes, at least. Oh, let me just stop for a moment. So, on one of the last VOD reviews I did, someone commented, oh, I hope you get better soon, because my voice was quite gravelly that day. So a little context on this. I just stream a lot and I talk a lot anyway, so my voice is already kind of in constant use. Most of the time when I stream, it's just after I've woken up, which is why I am tired as hell. So you get, like, morning voice Alex for most of these streams, by the way. I don't have a cold. I'm just like this, folks. I appreciated the concern, though. It's very, very thoughtful comment. Anyway, right. Less of me, more of the game. So, as we said, like, Flyquest, they want pushing lanes. Whippo gets the pushing lane early here in topside, and even though he had a bad level 1 trade, he manages to get under tower. Ah, good Q timing by Whippo. He takes aggro from that. And even though Whippo gets tower aggro, he ends up flashing out of turret range, which is completely fine. So that's a kill into Zers. How many minions does he lose? How many minions does he lose here? Does he lose cannon? He should do. He'll lose cannon, which is a pain in the ass. So that's something for Flyquest. Now, what does Owner do with this information? So we know that Inspired took top quadrant into top gank. So he's going to be slow to his bot side camps. That does mean that bot lane is safe, because they're in a 2v2. They know they're not going to be in a like a 2v3 or something like that soon. But, like, this is... So this is okay, but you lose a ghost here for free. This is, for those of you that were watching my Worlds VOD reviews from last year, and I'm not going to assume that people watched all of them, because that's a long time ago now, I suppose, in the scheme of things. When I did my finals VOD review of T1 versus Weibo, one of the things I talked about there was how T1 won worlds with a style like this from Flyquest to a certain degree. We have 3 pushing lanes and then a jungler that kind of like has agency on the map. Now what they did with that, instead of ganking top lane like Inspired did here, where, you know, if you just look at the minimap here, you know, he went from this side up to here, and he does end up dropping 1 ward down here. This still doesn't give jungle information. Now, what he would have got... Well, I mean, in this case, he actually would have got something, because he would have known topside camps are down. Well, this makes it even worse here from Flyquest. But you know that topside camps are down, but you don't really know where Owner is. You know he's on the bot side of the map, but you haven't then at this point. Because if you're pushing in... Look at the minimap again. If you're pushing in all 3 lanes, and your jungler is shown top... Well, of course, there's a chance that you get 2v3'd on bot side. What happens if then Owner goes to respond here? Now, you lose a Ghost here for free because Maso and Busio are pushing, but they're not as good at playing this style, obviously, as a team like T1 that won Worlds with it last year, where when you have 3 pushing lanes, you need to be able to keep up jungle vision so your lanes don't get messed with like this. Losing a Ghost for free is not great in a Varus Renata lane, because now this is going to give, like, extra kind of couple levels of extra few waves of kind of pressure to T1's bot lane, which they shouldn't have had. It should have been harder for them to get access to Golden for to XP. You can see that Gumayushi is actually pretty happy to walk up and like get some double taps as well with the Senna passive in terms of like getting the souls from that. Zeus has teleported back to top lane, has done completely okay in terms of... Oh, that's not... Wait, how did Bwipo just... Hang on, how did that happen to Bwipo? Hang on. So he teleports back. This is another important thing. Because Bwipo took a pretty bad level 1 trade considering the matchup. But yeah, Owner gets a free Ghost for absolutely no time expenditure on bot side. But at the same time on top side, we're just looking at yeah, I'm just gonna draw a box around it, but just like keep an eye on the HP bar here. Because both top laners have just teleported out. Zeus has a wave crash coming in, and obviously neither of them have teleport now. You're level 4 to level 3 because it's a slight timing where, you know, an earlier... What is he doing? Unstoppable on the Bwippos, on the E as well. Gets some damage from the searing charge. Gets another Q. And now Bwipo's like completely lost track of the game. And because, just a reminder folks, this is even worse for Flyquest than we thought before. So Bwipo takes a really bad trade. Remember that so Inspired did top camps into a top dive. T1 knows that because Inspired was level 3 and at top lane on that timing, because he got there at the earliest possible timing, you know that Inspired took his top side camps and he must be there on bot side. Because T1 also managed to, you know, Viego then went down bot side and got the Ghost, but and then also has a ward here. They know exactly where Inspired is. They know he's on bot side. So this means that Bwipo is taking this trade with his jungler pathing away from him, and T1 know that he is taking this trade with jungler pathing away from him. So Owner goes, well, this is free as hell. So despite the fact that Zeus was the one that was killed early, but this is that... I'm actually speechless. That trade ruins the game for Bwipo. I'm actually speechless. Bwipo has I think Bwipo's had some good games and plans, but against Astral, yeah, it was against Astral and against PSG. He had the oh, he didn't play against Astral, sorry. Yeah, but against PSG he had, a couple of good early games and whatever, but like this is not something you expect from a player with the veterancy and tenure of Bwipo. This legitimately loses you the game in a lot of ways. Now, that might sound extreme or hyperbolic or whatever, but like, so we see this awful trade here. This wave is coming into him anyway. You're not losing any of these minions. This is a huge crash in. You've got 3 minions of your own, and then you've got 3 minions of your own here, but then there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a 5 minion advantage. This is a 5 minion advantage. This wave is coming into you. And you know he's level 4, he's a level up on you. Why would you take a trade with a level down when the wave is coming to you anyway? I mean, Zeus punishes wonderfully. He punishes wonderfully here. But what is Bwipo doing? Because again, in the context of this, this is happening while Inspired is going bot side, because the only camps he has available are bot side, and because he is a Graves, he needs to farm. This is the game losing play, because remember what we were saying about Flyquest. Zac is a winning lane, percent HP matchup. The Orianna can get shove in and get some vision down bot side. Varus Renata is one of the most dominant bot lanes in the game. But if this game goes late, then you look at the Ornn, great counter engage and disengage. Same with like the Viego being able to get out of engages. All of these champions are hard to get a hold of, and once they get out of the initial engage, they're going to absolutely murder you. So the fact that you have now lost, I know the gold here is okay, but this is going to get very worse in time. The fact that Ornn is now into the game and can be on call for the rest of the map and be fine in an individual matchup, that is hell for Flyquest. This is such a bad mistake by Bwipo. This is a game-losing mistake. And all of it is just a thoughtless trade as the wave crashes in. So Inspired is running topside now. He's going to run over Vision, though, which is, you know, a problem. Wait, what's Inspired going to do? He has to walk over Scuttle Vision. It's a Scuttle Vision. Like, what can Graves do here? I mean, there's actually a chance that Inspired dies here, too, because he's trying to, like, buy access. So he loses his flash to try and get Bwipo some extra XP up here. Like... Jeez, at least Bwipo gets some of this wave. At least he gets some of this wave, but that is just not acceptable at this level of play. Not against a team like T1 either. That's just that's simple stuff. You're trading a level down while the wave's coming into you anyway. While your jungle is pathing away from you. That's not the time to trade. Okay, alright. I think I've spoken enough about that now. I don't want to, like... I know, I have doubled down on it already. I don't want to double down it too much more. But while this is happening as well, this is one of the things that we talk about T1 a lot. There's a ward in the enemy jungle. You can see on the minimap as well. There's another one here. So there's multiple wards in the enemy jungle. They have a topside Scuttle Shrine as well. One of the things that T1 is absolutely great at is when they do have pushing lanes, they are very, very good at upkeeping jungle vision. And now suddenly Inspired, who already has lacking options, is going to have absolutely none after this point. He's also lost his flash, so... Flyquest, who needed to win early, get an early game advantage and hold on to it, that's the win condition here, with 3 winning lanes and a farming jungler, are not going to have that easily now. They've not won out in the very early game. I think the first few clears of the game, yes, they got 1 gank topside, but realistically, that's not going to win them the game now. Because of the mess up of Masu and Busio earlier as well, where we talked about them losing that ghost for free, because Inspired gave information over to T1 when he ganked top lane, they're actually even in farm now. Carrier is actually farming evenly with Masu as a Senna Tahm Kench lane to a Varus Renata. That shouldn't be happening. So the winning lane bot lane of the Varus Renata hasn't happened either. And because Inspired is, you know, constantly walking over Vision, he can't contest anything anyway. He walks over into mid. Faker's at the Oscars. He's very happy to kind of not give any easy kind of gank angles over. Not that there is an easy gank angle for a Graves. Again, if this is a volley pair, maybe it's different. I really don't like this with the Graves, though. Because Graves just showed going top to... how did this happen again? This is a lot of stuff happening in very quick succession. Yeah, this is now... Jungler once again showing that they're pathing away from top lane. It's a wave crash on top side. You don't have a teleport from Jensen. You don't have passive on Bwipo. Do they get the kill? It's a very easy kill. They don't even get a kill back. How many minions is he losing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 minions? Jesus Christ. But a lot of this comes back to the earlier trade which Bwipo had to lose the XP. And that called Inspired topside. It lost Inspired's flash, and it meant that Bwipo was further behind than he should have been. All of this ramps up, and then suddenly this is the killer blow now. This is the killer blow. Because this, again, should be a winning lane. Zac wasted flash in that dive. Yeah, and he's got no flash from the first blood as well. Which, you know, it saved his life, but it means that he can't outplay his own dive at that point. Inspired gets a dragon, but realistically at this point, you are behind against a scaling team. And you have winning lanes which are not actually winning. The Tahm Kench is even with your Varus. Yeah, that's not good. And Zeus is in completely fine, has a level advantage in the Ornn matchup too here. Azira's had an CS? Yep. Yep, Faker's been doing fine getting value there too. All he's had to do is just be stable and not give easy access to Flyquest. And also what he's done, this is again a thing which is a team effort from T1, but something that Faker does very well. Faker is very, very good at getting wards into enemy raptors. He's been doing this for years. Bwipo has to ult under turret because... Hang on, what happens there? So what happens here? So he takes a really bad trade. Zeus runs off. Bwipo threatens a Q on the minions. How does this lead to Bwipo losing his ult? Well, he's using his ult to set up for a dive, I think, because Inspired has no options left. Another... Was that a W through that? Okay. Zeus still has ult. So he calls out the ult now. What information did they have from Inspired? When was the last time they saw Inspired? Just gonna zoom back a bit. When was the last time they saw him? So they saw a vision plant bots being popped bot side. So they saw him now. So they see him at 8:30. They probably have camp timers on as well. They know that his camps will be up. And the reason they see him, right, is that this is the tangential information, right? So right here, look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. You can see Graves just popped a vision plant here, and you can see that white wave coming out. And as that happens, later on you see that Busio is clearing the ward. That means that they know that it wasn't Busio that hit the vision plant, and they know that it's likely not Masu either, because they would probably have had a better timing on his recalling. So they know that it's Inspired on bot side hitting that plant, which means that he's going from bot to top. So they'll know that Inspired is heading top side after this, most likely. And because T1 are heading into their bot side now, they would see if Inspired was heading over to their jungle. So that's why T1 know that he's going towards top side. They know that he's not going towards something like Krugs, even if they had the timing on that, because they have a ward right behind the back of red buff. They have a pink ward there. So that means they know his top side, but they know there's nothing on top side. So the only thing available for Inspired on top side is a top dive. So that's why Zeus actually pulls the ult even before Inspired is in vision. Because he does... Wait, when does he pull the ult? Yeah, he calls it before Inspired's on vision because he knows that. He knows that the wave's crashing. He goes unstoppable to make sure that he can get through... like Zac CC. Bwipo has to flash to avoid the damage and immediately... Ah, God, and you have the center ult for global too. When did that get hit? Was that just now or was that just before? So center 6 gets hit off of this ward, yeah. So it's hit just before this point, like 10 seconds earlier or so. He has to flash out and still doesn't get anything for it. So. What Bwipo is trying to do here and fails to do. So he lands a Q here and he wants to flash here because there's no target for him to auto-attack with another target to auto-attack so he can get the QCC. Because you need to hit someone with the Q and then hit someone else to get the drag together. Now, if he flashes earlier... he can get the attack onto the turret. But what Zeus does is he uses the brittle knock-up. So he gets the brittle and the knock-up, which sends him airborne here, to make sure that Zac is CC'd, and so he can't flash. And because he can't flash, he can't stop Zeus in time from hitting the second part of the ult. Now, it doesn't end up doing any damage, but this is the mind game between the two top laners, so that means that Bwipo flashes under turret. That's why he's gone for this. Oh, God. And he dies in the dive after burning flash. And Inspired can't do anything about it. Bwipo's had a nightmare game. That was really well played from Zeus, though. Just the micro of this, I really want to praise the micro of this from Zeus. Like, he knows that Inspired is coming for the dive. He waits until the last minute possible, so Inspired has committed to the dive. And he uses the unstoppable of the W and then the CC of the W from the auto attack afterwards, with the center ult knowing it's incoming as well, to completely outplay this. What a good play from Zeus. Bad from Whippo, and inspired in a lot of ways too. It's too telegraphed. They gave over too much information before this. But, like, what the hell do you do now? This is meant to be a counter-pick top lane matchup. And even though you do have some anti-tank options, this ain't it. And because Inspired showed top side and it's a mistake, that doesn't suddenly mean that T1 can't make a play bot side. They can still cross-map here. They have the jungler there. Jeez. That is, yeah, that's sure something. Like, T1 should not be winning with this early with this comp. Flyquest have just misplayed all of their early lanes, basically. You know, Faker's managed to keep up jungle vision on the other side. Jensen's not been able to do that at all. Masu and Busio are even with a Senatom Kench with a dominant laning bot lane. Teleport in from... Wait, is that a double teleport? Oh, that's just disgusting. You can see that Jensen really wants to get mid lane push to finally get some vision back. Because Flyquest are falling apart. And they double teleport into mid lane. Oh, that's insane! Oh, and he even outsteps the shockwave too. That is such a clean shuffle by Faker. And he gets out of the... Fantastic. That's a dirty play. Dirty double TP into the mid lane. That's so good. How does he know Inspired top because they last saw Inspired was in bot and he had no top camps? Isn't this Zeus? No, he can just kill Zac with ults. I think it's because, so we saw that the vision cone, the Scry's Bloom was popped in bot side. And they knew that he wasn't walking into bot side, and they had a ward in top side to show that he wasn't pathing towards Krugs or something. They had a lot of information. So they know that as soon as Whippo is hard trading on the wave before the crash, it's very likely that it's going to be a dive from top side. So I think Zeus would have probably ulted for wave clear anyway. Whippo could have just flashed out of one part of the flashed away and maybe just survived that way. But yeah, I think T1 had all the information to know that it was a dive. I know Senna got an assist against Orianna. Is it because she used heal on Tom? Actually, well, yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, what happens here? Oh, I know what happened. I think it's because either... I don't think she Q'd him. I think she used E. I think she used E out of base, and I think that Tom Kench was affected by the Shroud. And then because you get the buff from, you know, being invisible that way. I think that would have given the assist. Was it Tom Q? Oh, was it the Q? Okay, sure. He did Q. Okay, right, cool. I thought it was the E, because sometimes you just do that coming out of base. But if it's a Q as well, great. Awesome. Completely fine. But yeah, that's a dirty double TP from T1. That was really good. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Not so bad. I've got my ultimate in fashion statements on.
What the fuck is that?
That is a prize I won at EMEA Masters.
Hang on. What the fuck is this? I'm sorry, folks. What is that?
I won a quiz at EMEA Masters on air, and I won the ultimate in fashion statements. Just look at this.
That's wonderful, Sam.
Fabulous shit.
It's
made of like lycra as well, so I could wear it to the gym.
Can you do that when I'm not there? that's
we've got a hashtag
great.
Gamgirls going on
hashtag
again.
Gamgirls. Yeah. All right, let's keep going on with this, folks. Let's keep going. Yeah, we're just kind of getting through game 1 of T1 Flyquest. So we've just seen them kind of use the double TP to mid lane.
Oh yes.
So hang on. Sorry. Just one of the other things here, folks. So this is something that happened in earlier seasons of League, where you would have particularly mid laners teleporting very early down to bot lane. So if we're just gonna look on the mini map. So sometimes when you have like mid laners reset, they come in and they will teleport to a play in a side lane, knowing that even if it's just a defensive play and they're there to ward off a dive, they can just walk back towards mid lane and that's fine. It doesn't take that long to do that. So right here, even though Carrier teleports into mid lane, he's more than happy to just walk down bot lane as well. It's not a huge time expenditure. You don't always have to teleport straight back to your wave. You might lose a couple of minions for it, but it's sometimes, like in this case, much more worth it to teleport in for the aggressive play and kind of keep pushing the pace of the game forwards. So that's really well played from Faker and Carrier on multiple levels there. And again, just punishing the fact that Jensen's kind of scrambling to get some vision back in the enemy jungle because he's not been able to keep that up for this game. Then, yeah, I mean, this game's just gone from bad to worse, right? So, what are we looking at next? So we have 6 grubs for T1 as well because they've lost, because Flyquest lost so handily towards topside, which is awful because another thing now, this is something which I talk about a lot, particularly in regards to Scout in the LPL because he's the player which does this the most over there. This is where, after a certain point, Azir becomes an absolute turret-killing menace. He has a lot of attack speed in his build. He goes to the Nash's Tooth. And now suddenly if you have a Nash's Tooth 6-scrub Azir... I know in the past, Azir wasn't known as a great side laning champion. I think he's very good now just because of his ability to push in waves very quickly and then also hit towers. So now suddenly, Flyquest, things are, believe it or not, going to get worse here. Because if you suddenly have a kind of like a redistribution of lanes, where we have kind of bot lanes going towards mid lane, and then suddenly you have these towers out here, these towers are going to fall very, very quickly. You already have, what, a 3k gold lead coming in from T1, 3.5 rather, something like that. That's going to get worse because that doesn't involve any real turret pressure. You have some plates in mid lane, in top lane, but it's not even like... It's going to get worse because you're going to get first tower bonus and like the remainder of the plates if it happens within the next minute or two. It wouldn't surprise me to see Faker kind of go towards the side lane now, Goomer and Carrier go towards mid lane, and then try and get some plates on side lanes from that. So we have pushing lanes for T1 now before the Dragon 2. This is a 3v4 with Jensen coming down but with no flash. I don't like this play from Flyquest because again they're going on to... So you have Devour from Carrier, you have Flash and Ult from Owner. You need to just try and... If you catch Owner in some CC chain, maybe it comes... Maybe it's enough. Does he have Merc Treads yet? No, he doesn't have Merc Treads. So if he had Merc Treads, this would be a lot harder.
I suppose if you chunk the jungler, you can maybe fight for Dragon too.
That's not the point. Getting Dragon is actually... Well, it's secondary. Because if you get Dragon, that's one thing, but you need just gold in pockets. So the thing here is that if you catch Owner with a Handshake, maybe Handshake into... Renard's ult into Varus ult is enough CC, but even then you have a Devour from Carrier. Wait, does he have that? No, he doesn't have it because he used it. No, he doesn't have that because he used it in mid lane. W hits on the other side. Play fizzles out. Sucks.
No, don't worry about it. I'm just...
You were saying, yeah. That's what you say when you want to say something.
It's true. I was just thinking, like, it was more like why that was the target selection as well for Owner rather than anybody else.
Because he's the target.
He's the easiest to get as well.
He's the easiest target to get here, and he's the one stood next to a wall, but... I mean, yes, if you do end up chunking out the jungler, it's a free dragon. They should realistically... they should be winning dragons anyway, because they have, like, the Varus lane against the center lane. Jensen once again trying to keep up some vision control. Ooh. So you've lost a lot of vision in bot river anyway. Faker finds an angle to get some damage onto Jensen. He doesn't have flash still. And even though Inspired hopped over the wall and was looking for Owner heading back into his own jungle, Owner instead heads into mid lane and it's... yeah.
That looks so different actually if Owner face checks the Graves earlier.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all. He's already level 9 and he has ult and he has flash. I think that all it does is Owner ults backwards, really.
Yeah, I know, but that's potentially... But it's a lot better than a kill in mid lane.
It doesn't change anything, because you've lost all of your vision in mid lane. Faker is more mobile than Orianna. So if Owner face checks here, I think all Owner is... I think what Inspired is looking to do is get eyes on Owner, not attack Owner, but then somehow get into mid lane. But even then, you don't even have like flash from Jensen to set up like an easy combo, so... This is still very difficult. I think that this is getting to the point of desperation from Flyquest now. So you lose mid lane, Inspired's overextended, and yeah, resets.
Yep.
And this is effectively the end of the game. This is the end of the game now, because not only do you have a huge lead in top lane, mid lane and jungle just got insane advantages. Tom Kench is ahead. You are down 7,000 gold at 14 minutes when you had 3 winning lanes against a scaling team composition. That is absolutely ridiculous from T1. Like, they've completely neutered Flyquest from a couple of key mistakes from them, particularly around topside.
Does this sequence of plays earn some, what, 3,500 gold? Because they were 3,500 gold just before this, weren't they, up?
Something like that, yeah.
That's nuts.
So now we're heading back out onto the map. What items have we got? We've got a stopwatch for Faker as well in the form of the Seekers. Viego's also a carry threat as well with the Kraken Slide, but as we said, it was going to get a lot harder for Flyquest to play the game as soon as Merc Treads came in. Which one was worse, 1731 or 1647? This is worse. Legitimately, this is worse. Mad Lions, at least in their series versus T1 last year at MSI, put up a fight in one of their early games in a best of 5. And also the play, the game they got blown out in was at the end of the series after they kind of like already had the mental broken by the rest of the series. Whereas this is like straight off the bat against them. I actually think Mad Lions were a much better team than people gave them credit for. Yes, they still had flaws, but, you know, I think last year, looking at that MSI, just the gap between the East and the West was absolutely ridiculous. So I actually think this is worse than the Mad Lions loss to T1.
Have you seen Whippo's interview about this series?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Because I think you can sort of see why that might have tilted them.
Yeah. So at least Flyquest managed to get some vision into enemy jungle, but it's not about playing around the enemy jungle now. They actually have a pretty okay vision line here. If you look at just on the mini-map, like, good line of vision down the side, down this map. I don't know what they can do with it, because Orianna is not a teleport champion, like a teleport flank champion. Whippo can be on the Zac, but that's kind of more rare, I suppose. And while all this is happening anyway, T1 already have again. They've managed to upkeep their own vision really, really well. I'm kind of surprised that Flyquest have so much vision for a team that's this far behind in the game. Would it surprise you if... Hang on, let me just pause this. Would it surprise you if G2, Fnatic, TL all get 3-0 this week, given what we've seen so far in plans? I think that TL might have a chance to take a game or two off of... Well, a game off of top esports, but we'll see. It depends on what form TN's in. Center W comes in. Actually, the siege potential from T1's really annoying. Even Tom Kench is pretty good at sieging because of Tongue Lash leading into Ws and also being able to like hide in Fog of War. God, they have the Herald as well. They put down the Azir turret, use the Ornult to secure the next player. They have 6 grubs. Azir, as we said, is a very good tower pusher. And if you fail your engage as Flyquest, this is the one time we've got to see this, really. If you fail the engage, the game goes really, really dangerously after this point. Because the turnaround like combo from T1 is really, really nasty. That's a huge knockup. That is actually a huge knockup. And you know, it's an okay shockwave, but where's your damage? You're too far behind at this point. Flyquest missed their one chance to get an engage. This is the one time they've had to 5v5 the entire game. We didn't even get to like witness what would happen with the what could happen with the team comps, because it never came down to 5v5s ever. This is the closest thing we saw to a 5v5. They missed their engage once. Now suddenly T1 can teleport back in. They have double teleports to come back in to regen HP. They have even more ultimates to play with. Flyquest completely fall apart against a scaling team composition with 3 winning lanes. This is embarrassing. This is absolutely embarrassing. T1, fantastic, ruthless play. That's, you know, that's the positive side of it. But Flyquest, basically through individual mistakes from... Actually, I don't think Jensen was a passenger in this game. He couldn't do that much. But I think particularly Whippo messed up a lot. I think Inspired gave over too much. He telegraphed his plays too much and gave over too much information, which T1 used to kind of play on the other side of the map. And Master and Busio didn't really get to use their Renata Varus to what they wanted to do from the draft either. So that was an absolute domination, beginning to end from T1. Even the initial dive in top lane, which gets Zaya's kill for first blood, ends up being a net win for T1 because they use the information that Inspired gives over to then secure the next few minutes of play. Like, God, this was one of the biggest dominations I have seen in recent history.
It's got to be top 5.
Anyway, I am going to get my
cup or anything.
We don't have any coffee. Yes, can you put the kettle on, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Right, that game was really quick, so I'm pretty happy to go straight into... What do you mean I'm not logged in? I want to log in. G2 manager already said G2 play in scrims to humiliate their enemies. That reminds me of the 2019-2020 G2 roster, which has said, we didn't come to win, we came to traumatize. Is it going to let me log in now? Can I log in, please? Thanks. I don't know whether I actually get any bonuses for this, but yeah. I might try to microwave my tea water. My thoughts are that you are a heathen, and you deserve only the worst of things. I'm sorry, this is how it is. This is how it is. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a little break, folks. I'm going to take myself a little break, and I'll be back for game 2. Because I like to take a quick break, just to break things up a little bit for me, mentally, but then also for you guys as well, to have a bit of a brain break. You know what? I've I've had some thoughts about, like, maybe not doing a teaching course, but having a look at some teaching materials and thinking about how, like, I guess more traditional teachers do a lot of their learning materials. Because, like, if you actually want people engaged with your work and actually to learn stuff about it, I mean, I think that a lot of streamers do a good job of keeping things entertaining, which is a big part of teaching, right? Because you want people to enjoy what they're doing. But also, like, if people actually want to walk away with valuable information from this, what's the best way to do it, you know? Okay. Let me move my camera as well. I shall become Big Mirror once more. Okay. Hydrate, I can do that. Yes, I will definitely. I'm gonna go refill a water bottle. I'm gonna get myself a cup of food from the other room, and then we shall. Okay, folks. Let's go. Let's get down to business again. For what reason are LLA and Brazil separate regions? Yeah, different languages, different... also, LATAM used to be LATAM North and LATAM South as well. It's that was a big change for that region, actually, in a lot of ways. Okay. Game 2. Game 2. Change of sides. So T1 on our right side. And what are we getting in terms of the bans? So once again, we have the Vi and we have the TF banned away. And this time they're banning away the Renata. But the thing is... Wait, hang on. Let me just check. I can't remember Marcy's champion pool that well. Is he a Senna player? This is either saying that Marcy wants to play Lucian because he wants to play Lucian and he doesn't want to play against like Varus Renata or Kalista Renata. Or it's saying we want to play Senna. Well, no, the Senna's gone, so it can't be that. Yeah, I wonder whether Massey wants to go towards... Yeah, I wonder whether Massey wants to go towards something like the Lucian first pick then. Deny it from Guma. Unless they want to pick up a Kalista or a Varus, but then deny the... but then deny the Renata pairing for the other one. So, for instance, if you locked in Varus, there is a chance that the other team locks in Kalista Renata, second round rotation. Or they lock in a Renata and they lock in the Kalista later. Or something similar to that. So maybe we're getting a first pick AD carry for Massey and first pick Varus or something because he's comfortable on it. And they ban away the Lucian. Yeah, so they do ban away the Lucian. And they lock in the Nautilus instead. Okay, so you can go towards what? Varus Nautilus is a good combo. Draven Nautilus is fine. What else is good with Nautilus? Those are the two which I think of. Kalista Nautilus is fine. But you can go towards Kalista Ashe or something for T1 now. I actually trust them to play that. And that destroys Nautilus. Nautilus just hooks onto an Ashe with barrier and they can't play the game. So yeah, I think you're looking for an Ashe on 3 maybe. Maybe you can lock Jungler here, or you can lock Orianna. If you lock Orianna here, then you lock Ashe on 3, then you can either lean on Faker's champion pool or Owner's champion pool. Give Zayas first a counter pick either way in top lane. And like really upset Bwipo that way. Or you can like blind pick Yukasente on 4. And then go towards the mid laner. So oh yeah, Orianna's gone. Yeah, so with Ori gone, you're going for like the next kind of tier list down in terms of push and roam mid laners, I guess. Not that Orianna's push and roam, but she's very much push. Ori's banned. Yeah, I missed that one. So yeah, we're probably seeing the Varus Nautilus, which is comfort for Masu, point and click for Busio, which means that he has less worries to go through. I reckon we're seeing Ashe on 3. I think we can see Ashe on 3. And now or you can go jungle now. I think... Let me think. If you go for the Ashe, you secure winning lane and bot side, so you want a very good with winning bot lane, and you have the Talir, which will roam towards bot lane very easily. Problem is, then you're probably getting a load of jungle bans through in second round, but you'll be the first ones to pick jungle if you wanted, and you can counter pick top lane if that does happen. Or you can blind pick top lane on 4 with something like a Cassante, which is just hard to get under the skin of, and you ban away something like the Urgot, and then you kind of pick jungle last, which can sometimes be okay. I mean, Carrier's got a load of different stuff too. Yeah, you have to lean on someone's champion pool. I was thinking they would lean on one of Owner or Faker's, but I guess Carrier's got a large champion pool as well. So now you have what? You have, let's go into text here actually. You've got Ashe, you have Nico. What else have you got? Ashe, Nico. Famous artist, Ashe, Nico. What else have you got in terms of lane dominant supports? You don't have the Varus kind of AD carry support. You could actually go Heimerdinger too, you know. You can go for Poke Varus and Callista. No, Poke Callista rather. Heimerdinger is actually not bad into the Nauts either. What else have you got? Tahm Kench is okay, but that doesn't win you the lane. I think you're looking to just run bot side, right? I think you're looking to run bot side. Because you have Talia that can go bot side, you have a Callista, you have the Sejuani as well, who's pretty okay at... Oh, Rumble support as well. Yeah, okay, you got Rumble support. Yes, very good point. Okay, so in that case, you're looking at Ashe, Nico, Rumble. All three of them destroy this bot lane. If you have the Poke Callista with that combo, it's nasty. Or you can go for the Callista support, and you can go for Draven ADC, yeah. God, how hard is it to play against this T1 bot lane, man? There's an infinite number of things they can just ruin your lane with. It's really annoying. So Flyquest, I think they have to ban out some of the supports. Yes, they ban out the Rumble, but then you still have Nico and Ashe. Which one do you care more about? I think in some ways, I think you want to take care of the Ashe. I think Ashe is more problematic just because the Hawk Shot and the ult are really long range and they can screw with your vision game so much. So that's nasty. Yeah, this is, yeah. Oh, Buttering, by the way, thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. They ban out Rel. Why would they ban out the Rel? Like, that's the least of your worries. That is not a good Rel ban. Because if you're worried about the Rel, that means you're worried about mid-game. I think you have to be worried about early game, man. It's T1. If they win bot lane, T1 are very, very consistent and just destroying your game. And at the same time, T1, what they end up doing is they ban away very good level 3 junglers in the Xin Sao and the Viego. Now, you might get a Poppy. Poppy's okay on 4. You can go with like Poppy, Cassante, or you can go for an Urgot again if Bwipo just really likes playing the Urgot meta right now. But the problem with going Poppy is that Poppy is very good into Callista when it's on hit Callista. But because this is Gumayushi and this patch of League, it's likely going to be the Lethality Callista instead. Lethality Callista is harder to get the Poppy W onto because Callista's too far away. She goes from her Q range, not her auto range, which is much longer. So, and that's one of the reasons why we saw people like, you know, Pays pick it up earlier in the season. He was one of the first. Ruler played a lot of it. Elk is very good at it too. Oh, my boy Elk. So now you have losing bot lane. They go for the Wukong, which is great in terms of mid-game, not the best in terms of early game. I think that Flyquest have angled too much towards mid-game. If they survive the early game, it's okay, because now suddenly you have... The Wukong's actually pretty okay into this comp. Can be a second damage carry. And they don't go towards the Urgot, they go towards the Gragas instead. Now what does Zeus do into a Gragas? I think you can Ornn again if you wanted to. You can Ornn, be a frontline, you can be a Cassante, I think that's fine. I think both of those are fine if you want to play tank frontline. You can go Renekton. Renekton's fine for the Sejuani Renekton and does fine against the Gragas in the laning phase. Yeah, I think all of them are fine. So the Cassante is the one which they put through, which is, again, totally fine. You can drag someone like the Wukong out of a fight in some points, but also you can just be just a really strong frontline. So now suddenly you have Sejuani, Ashe, Snap, Engage. You have really good ability to just run at the enemy team with your tank stats as well. You also have the Callista ult to save the Ashe. So you have the Cassante, the Sejuani, and the Ashe, which can all threaten people like the Varus particularly, because he's not very mobile, and they're all very safe. You know, Sejuani can just throw an ult, activate Aftershock, and then try and survive through that. You have the Cassante, which can W, he can ult to reposition. He has Ghost, he has E. And then also someone like Ashe can just use the Callista ult. So this game, let's just go back to the last at this point. I think Flyquest really need a fed Wukong threatening the backline. I think that Wukong is actually one of the most powerful people in this draft, but you cannot affect early game like that. You need Varus Nautilus to do very well in laning phase, but that is very hard to do against Guma and Keria when they're on Callista Ashe, which is just nasty as hell. Yeah. And then, I mean, what else have you got here? I don't think that the solo laners have the chance to return this game. Thank you.
Hydrogen fuel for Starship Nightmare.
I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much.
What do we think of the draft?
I think there were a couple of key mistakes from Flyquest where they're focusing too much on their mid-game power at the expense of their early game power. This ban here is something I'm questioning a lot. So they ban away Rel, and then T1 locked in Ashe on 4. And that to me is a big problem, because when we were going around to the second round of bans, I highlighted that we had 3 supports, which were probably just going to make Masu and Boostio's lane unplayable. So that's Rumble, that's Nico, and then that's Ashe. And I feel like getting rid of the Rel doesn't solve the problem. Because Rel is good in the mid game because it's a really good engage pick onto the Varus and the Azir. But that to me is just saying that, oh, we'll survive early and we'll fight late game. That's not what happened in game 1.
And I also look at this and I go, we know Kalista Ashe is a premier bot lane. It's not a surprise. Everyone knows this. I will also say that it is, in some ways, inverted commas, a harder lane to play in the sense that once you get to mid game, you still have to be respectful.
Sorry, with what?
Like the Ashe with Kalista, we've seen people fail that lane, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
But it's also, this is Keria, who is arguably the best AD carry support player in the world ever, period.
Yeah, no, so largely I would agree, but one of the things which I did in my Worlds Rod reviews is highlight how good Keria was at positioning to... So Keria basically never blows flash on Ashe unless it is for a very good reason, because it's very hard to get it out of him. So yeah, I think that's I think so that was one thing, and then also they went towards the Wukong over something like I mean, Poppy I think is actually quite problematic in this draft because Lethality Kalista actually doesn't care about Poppy in a lot of ways. I think that actually again they're really misreading stuff like where is Volibear? I think Volibear be good here. I mean the Lee Sin is also the Lee Sin's okay I guess, but maybe not so good into the Sejuani. I think they're going towards the Wukong is like, you need too much out of Inspired early game to justify going towards the Wukong.
Don't be wrong, Wukong mid game will be really, really good into the Kalista Ashe. Like you have got a lot of value into AD carries as Wukong. Like in a lot of ways, he's the best mid-game anti-AD carry champion out there, but he's just never getting there.
Last thing on draft, and then we'll move into game, folks. Why do you think that T1 is no longer getting Lucian permaban versus them like last MSI, where JDG and BLG Genji permabanned it versus them? Well, they did that a lot in this split as well, and other teams are still playing Lucian. I'm very interested to see what BLG do, because BLG... this split, that BLG are actually quite similar to the way that T1 play, by the way. So this is going to be a very interesting tournament when these teams eventually match up, because BLG are now the team which play Varus, Kalista, and Lucian, and they pretty much use that as a kill lane very, very well. I am somewhat surprised that T1 aren't showing it as much, but this might be the kind of thing where they're just not playing it in play-ins, and maybe they just play it in main stage as well. We saw how Jackie Love can play this pick too. So Lucian is still a strong pick. I just wonder whether T1 are just not playing it in play-ins.
Or not in scrims, right? Like, we know they play it. They might just not be prioritizing it right now.
Well, they're the ones which banned it on this side. But I think basically, we already talked about this earlier into the draft. When the Renata ban came out, you ban out the Lucian because then you have... because, like, if you ban away the Renata and first pick the Lucian army feels a lot better against the rest of the field. Anyway, let's get into game. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate it. And then,
enjoy the rocket fuel. It's happy
thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, folks, let's get into game. I shall become slightly smaller. See if there's any shenanigans. Yeah. Okay. So this is not something we saw in the last game. Well, yeah. This is another thing. Because we have... Well, but it's Varus Nautilus. That's still a good lane. Okay, maybe this is why Flyquest... Why did I forget about this in draft? You can lane swap. If you are that afraid of the Kalista and the Ashe, you can lane swap. Now, the problem is T1 have been very good at lane swaps, and if you want to find out more about that, go watch my VOD review of the Astral games, where they showed that they could always get more golden XP from lane swaps. Why do I feel like Lethality Kalista does nothing but win lane? It feels like you never win because Kalista is in the game. I think Elk on BLG is the exception to that rule. Elk actually plays the champion very well late game. He's very good at team fighting that. Okay, Jensen walks up and gets spotted by Faker. Nice from Faker to get the phase rush there. Weaves in some autos with his Q. You know you can auto attack while Kalista, not Kalista, Talia is queuing. It's actually a less known thing. So we see Bwipo checking Zeus there. So this is fun from Bwipo. Bwipo was kind of just showing that he's top lane. Gets a grasp stack there. But then Boostio shows as well. So now as soon as Boostio shows, T1 expect a lane swap. But we see that Masu is recalling, though. Goomer and Carrier on bot side. Masu cancels his recall. Bwipo's on top side. Owner's starting on red here. But they will... Okay, so what's happening now? So now we see that... You know that Busio's top-side, which means that T1 know there's likely a numbers advantage in top-side. If Busio's top-side, it's likely that Bwipo's going to do some weird shit at level 1, but you're going to have Masu, Busio, Inspired, and Bwipo on top-side very early. Hey, Puff, how's it going? Hey, Fed. And then this ward here as well, which I believe was played... Was that placed by Faker, or was that... No, Faker placed his one all the way over here. So because Faker went into the enemy jungle and spotted out Jensen, but also saw that he retreated very quickly, and we also have Goomer and Carrier going into bot side as well. T1 know that Flyquest are not in this quadrant. They've seen, you know, these two up in here as well. They have a ward over on Raptors, which was placed, I think, by Owner at this point, actually. So they have full information that Flyquest are going towards this topside invade, and they don't really have anyone else available elsewhere on the map. So with this knowledge, and also with this ward placed down by, I believe this one was by Faker, Carrier knows that if he walks through bot side jungle, he's safe. And they also know that Inspired's on top side as well. So they have Carrier move up from bot lane, disconnect himself from Goomer. So Goomer's going to be starting this first wave alone. Owner goes down towards Wolves, gets a very... Is he going to smite this for a quick level 2 to then come up towards topside? Because basically what Owner is doing here, because T1... Let's just take a step back here. T1 know that they want to fight around this topside quadrant, and they think they can bring more guns to bear. So we're going to have AD carries largely alone in these sidelines, so AD carries aren't going to be a part of this. Owner is not contesting the first camp, which is on screen here. He wants to get the quickest way to level 2, but from a camp that isn't in topside. Closest camp to topside is Wolves. So he's going towards Wolves there, so we can quickly take that. Wouldn't surprise me if he smited it and tried to get a quick level 2. So he was level 2 for a play on topside here. Zeus hasn't leveled a skill. Carrier, as we said, moves up from bot side very, very quickly, gets an angle in towards jungle, towards Jensen. Halo Blade's level 1, very, very nasty. So Jensen now... this is where the tables turn, folks. This is where the table turns. Because Jensen, after being chunked out by Carrier, walking through the previously kind of secured bot quadrant by T1, we talked about how they played around the vision there, gets to walk in towards mid lane, and does a really good job here of chunking out Jensen, so he can't respond now. He's already a level 1 Azir. Level 1 Azir is not great at doing this kind of weird stuff anyway. And as P Black mentioned in chat as well, Faker just earlier got a trade onto Inspired and used his phase rush to run out as well. So he traded well to make sure that Inspired is on less HP. So already T1 taking half a HP bar here, taking half a HP bar here as well from Inspired, although he's also tanking a camp now, so that's going to be slightly from that. Carrier can get his Halo Blades back quickly, and he can walk in towards topside jungle. He's more than happy towards doing that. Bwipo hits his E now. Zeus waits here. Inspired hits level 2, but Owner's hit level 2 off of Raptors, so he's fine. But because of all of the work done with the HP bar, and then a late use of a W by Cassante, he gets a huge amount of damage from a level 1 W. And because you have Carrier getting his Halo Blades back as well, like, it's so hard for Flyquest to evenly start here. Even though typically Nautilus is very good at level 1s, Ashe does so much more damage. Like, way more damage. And because Jensen was chunked out by Carrier earlier, he can't respond. You know, I think that's actually... Thinking about it again, there's a couple of key moments here. Let's go back through this again. Key moments. Faker takes a good amount of HP off of Inspired here. You know, it's a third of a HP bar, which is nice. Faker also gets to... And it's much more important on a melee champion than it is on a ranged champion as well. Owner gets the quickest level 2 he can do to respond to topside whilst not being under threat here. Because he doesn't want to start on Raptors because then Flyquest will hit him. But if he starts on Wolves, he can get a quick level 2, not be contested, and run towards topside. And his Carrier also then gets the really big chunk out here and a flash. Jensen can't respond here either. Owner doesn't smite on... No, he doesn't smite on Wolves. He wants smite available for the next camp, I think. Yeah. This is an overlap. Is that an overlap of CC, actually, from Busio and Bwipo? I don't think it is, actually. No, they actually space out their... They space out their stuff pretty well. And that's a 3-man W. How much damage did that do, actually? Full channel? Yeah, it's enough. It's probably like an extra 80 damage overall. He does pretty okay there on the whole. And then because Flyquest have committed so hard, they just can't get out of this. But so much of this is from the work that T1 did just before this. Good chunk on mid, good chunk on jungle. And then we have to God, this is such a backbreaker for Flyquest. Because they wanted to lane swap. Well, they have lane swapped. But now you're lane swapping with... Jungler doesn't have red buff now. Owner's ended up getting a kill and an assist. And he's getting towards his top quadrant as well. Yes, Flyquest gets some wards into enemy jungle, but that's not going to be enough. Carrier even gets, like, a second trade onto Jensen here as well. And he has no flash as well, so that's going to be even worse. Carrier actually soaks some XP, but it doesn't matter. Carrier has done an absolutely wonderful job at this level 1. That is insane. What does Jensen do now? No flash, no pots as well, no kill participation. Faker's got a kill and 2 assists. Like, oh, hang on, this is a fun thing. Hang on. Faker did I've not seen Faker do this. Typically, he doesn't think about this. So, what Faker does is, after he gets the first blood, he has 400 gold. While he is dead, he buys a dark seal. Watch this inventory spot here. And because he then buys the dark seal before he gets the assist on the next kill, he buys it now. He gets an assist on Busio, and it gives him the assist from that. If Faker was actually a little earlier with this, by the way, if he'd thought about it quicker, he could have gotten 2 stacks because he would have gotten one from Inspired too. If he'd bought it here, he would get it there. But he didn't think about it quick enough because Dark Seal is 350 gold. First Blood is wait, well, who gets the first blood actually? Actually, who gets first blood? Who gets first blood? Because if it's first blood, then it's... Okay, so that's actually on Flyquest. Okay, so no. He actually... No, I take it back. He does this right. This is so funny. This is a quick... this is a top tip for people who want to do weird stuff with builds. You don't have enough gold from the first kill, because first kill is 300 gold. First blood is 400 gold. I mean, the first kill that Faker gets is 300 gold, right? So he doesn't have enough gold from that. But after he gets the assist here, he gets a little bit extra gold. So then he does get over the 350 mark he needs to buy a Dark Seal, which he then gets as he comes back to lane, gets the assist on Busio because Carrier gets the kill, and he gets himself an extra little bit of AP. Each stack is worth 4 AP. So yeah, that's a nice little bump. It's a nice little bump. That's cool. I like that a lot. That's fun. Sometimes you'll see, by the way, some people who die mid-fight with a Dark Seal upgrade it to Medjai's while they're dead. Use that to get the double stacks from any kind of assists, then refund it, go back to the Dark Seal, but it keeps the stacks. So that's a quick little way to get bumps and stacks if you die mid-fight. Fun little thing. But yeah, so now, what do you do here is Flyquest now? Because your jungler was one of the people that died, which means that you're behind in your jungle clear. Inspired is going to be slower onto the map than Owner will be. Owner, you can see he's recalling already after just going 3 camps. 3 camps with a kill and assist. He's going to get himself, what, a barmies off of that, which is insane. And he's going to have 3-minute barmies, I think, overall. Or close to it. I mean, you have solo XP coming in from Guma for a little bit too. Bwipo has no flash. He has to be kind of bailed out by Busio. And something like a poke, Kalista is really, really good at hitting people under tower. This is disaster for Flyquest. Utter disaster. And also Jensen has no flash too. So you've lost 4 flashes in that level 1. And you've still got flashes on Owner and Guma for T1. So you can't even do something like flash onto the AD carry for Flyquest. It's much harder for Inspired to gank without flash too. Wukong can struggle to stick to targets until he has his ults. Plus, Wukong's not a great early ganking champion on the whole. Is the Karthus ult thing where you sell all your items in base to buy haste items, ult refund before it hits, get reduced for CD still in the game? I don't think it is. Actually, I'm not sure about doing it before the ult hits, but yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. There was a bug on PBE with the item rework, actually, that you can get infinite ultimate haste on Karthus, and you can get it down to a 30... It capped out at about a 30-second cooldown, but it was insanely annoying. It was, yeah, not my favorite. Okay, so you can see that Flyquest, this, if you ever want to tell the mentality of something like this, oh god, this is awful. We saw this just beforehand. Let's just have a look at Flyquest and how badly they think this game is going. It is 4 minutes in, And they have pink wards, not in River Brush or into, you know, something in River. They have their pink wards behind Raptors and behind their turret here because they're so scared of where T1 can invade into their jungle. Because they've just been absolutely shut out of this early game and pushed into their side of the map now. And then while this gets even worse because they're trying to play around defensive vision, which means that T1 can kind of like play forwards because there's no vision they have to contest in River. And then they have Hawkshot as well spotting out Inspired. And now Inspired has even less agency in the game. She has no flash. She's a weaker early game jungler than someone like the Sejuani because the Sejuani is much stronger at doing stuff like this. Gets the Aftershock. Loses half his HP, but he's completely fine. This is a little bit more risky though, folks. Yeah, okay, whatever. So he gets a kill. But it's 2 kills over to the Kalista, and he has no teleports. He doesn't get to get any more XP under this tower. So he gets some gold, but he loses out in XP. And one of the things that we've talked about T1 is that they're one of the best teams in lane swaps right now at getting more XP than the enemy team. You can see that like Zeus is already a level up on what Bwipo's doing right now. And you know, you could maybe leave Bwipo alive here, and it's a good body slam for to at least get one back, but it's just not fun. What's happening with this XP wave, though? Yeah, this is not great from T1 in terms of quickly getting the value out of this. But getting XP towards Carrier is still pretty bad. Of the supports to give extra XP to and gold to, Ashe is one of the worst. Because she gets an early level 6. And as soon as you get early level 6, the game gets harder. As soon as you get level 6 for Ashe, particularly in Ashe support, she just gets to walk out of lane and just turn up somewhere with an ult, which is really, really nasty. That's one of the bonuses of Ashe support over Ashe AD carry, is that Ashe AD carry needs to be on waves farming, because all AD carries need to be farming. Ashe support doesn't really need to do that as much, right? Because you need it for some XP, but you don't need the gold itself, which means you can leave on a wave where an AD carry couldn't, go into Fog of War, fire an Ashe arrow out of it, and then try and get some big plays around that. It's really, really annoying. So T1 lose first dragon, but they do get themselves 3 grubs. Carrier goes down to help with that. And now you still have level 6 on Varus, which is nice because you have level 6 on Varus, but level 6 on Kalista makes it much, much harder to finish off for someone like Carrier. So Carrier can quite easily tank. Oh god, this is even worse, right? So T1 very, very quick at moving out onto the map. Faker clears a wave. First level 6 hit for him. Jensen has been pushed in very much in the early game. You can see the owner... Wait, does Faker get spotted on that ward? Does he show himself there? I think he's spotted on the ward just before that anyway. So they know this is coming. Boosie has level 3, no flash. Masu has level 6. Big wave crush coming in. Good Q from Guma. This is another thing too, by the way, folks, about poke Kalista. So... when you kill a target with the... So, for instance, if you're going to throw this Q through this minion, you get a rend stack for every minion that you kill with your Q. So if you ended up killing 1 or 2 or whatever, if you get really fed on Lethality Kalista and you max out your Q, and you can't see it right now, but if you looked down here under the picture, which you can't see right now, you'll see that he is maxing the Q first. That's what you expect from the Lethality Kalista anyway. Your Q is very good at clearing minions because of the lethality and the raw AD that you build. It means killing these minions is much quicker and much easier. And for each minion you kill with a Q, when you hit your end target, you're going to get extra rend stacks there, which is just like an extra little bit from it. So right here, gets the Q through it. Wait, does he time that right? Does that happen? I'm actually not sure that works the way which I want. Let's have a look. Oh, no, it does. He rends first, right. So actually, he makes a mistake there. He should Q, and then when the Q is actually hit through the target, then he should rend. Wait, did he rend for the slow, though? No, he didn't have a stack on him. Okay, so actually, Guma misplays that very slightly. Not that it matters too much. But yeah, that's just the thing with Lethality Kalista. It means that if you get a Q through a wave onto a target, if you have enough AD, then it's nasty as hell. Okay, they use the Varus ult. Owner's the one targeting... he doesn't use his Aftershock here, though. He pops his Aftershock late, so it's 1 for 1. Inspired is not that strong, though. 3 grubs. Yeah, I think that Carrier should have... I think Carrier should tank that. I think Carrier should tank. Because then you can pull him out with the Cholesterol, reset aggro. Yeah, that's a mistake by T1 in terms of tower aggro juggling. That shouldn't be a kill back. You should use Carrier to tank with Halo Blades, reset aggro with the Cholesterol, get Owner with the Aftershock as well, because it was a good CC chain from Master and Busio to make sure that he couldn't get his Aftershock, right? Because he doesn't have level 6 to instantly proc it by just hitting a champion. He needs to Q someone, but he can't do that if he's immobilized. Simple stuff. While this is happening... That's a bad Q from Zess. That's like a melee range Q, buddy. Which means he has to pop Ghost and get the hell out of there. He was pretty... If he hits that Q, he actually kills Beppo, I think, maybe. Because he would have had level 6 to level 5 very quickly, though. At like one more minion kill, we get him level 6, and I think he can get that just before Beppo mid-trade. Good combo from Faker. I think gold on non-engaged supports is underrated. They're made to function with less gold, so getting gold makes them a lot stronger. Yeah, there's something to that. I think that support items are very strong right now. I think that when you had Umbral Glaive meta, getting towards an Umbral Glaive was very important because that item was very cheap but very, very effective. So it means that, like, getting 1 or 2 early kills, that's really important. Back in the era when you were going Sightstone, it could be important, but you fell off very hard after that. But now you have like Mikhail's, you have Redemption, very powerful. Okay, so what we're seeing right now, because we're going to go see another top dive here. This is kind of the follow-up from T1 dunking on Jensen so hard at level 1. Jensen has never really been able to walk up and put wards here or whatever. He can't really shove in and he can't really put vision. He's basically trapped under his tower, and you're doing that against Faker's Talia, who has, you know, he just gets to push and roam. He gets to shove in all he wants. He's got a couple of Dark Seal stacks as well now. And it's really hard for Flyquest to respond. And what's also happening here too is that because T1 are going through the enemy jungle, they're seeing that camps are down, which means that it is less likely for Inspired to be on top side. They don't have full information on where Inspired is. Inspired could be shadowing this lane. He's actually been pretty okay. He was okay in the games versus PSG at hovering his weak side in like weird lane states, but yeah. Incompetent. So they hit the Varasalt this time. Hang on, let's slow this down. So they hit the Varasalt. They hit it last time as well, but they hit it early this time. They stop Guma getting in range to follow up. Ono tries to do the 90-degree ult where he tries to go past Busio and hit Masu. He doesn't quite manage it because Nautilus's booty is too thick. And they're trying not to kill Busio. They want to kill Masu, which they do manage to do. And they have again the Cholesterol if they really want to. Jensen's here now, but he's late again. He's the one who's been kind of shoved out a bit more. I wonder again whether a Cholesterol could have been used to save Ashe some HP. Great wall from Faker. Oh, that's a great wall from Faker. Because there is no escape now. At this point in the game, your E cooldown on Jensen and your Q cooldown are pretty high. So Jensen would have to flash back out, and I don't think a flash is enough to get him into like a game-winning position here. A fight-winning position. You have heal from Guma, so that means it's a little harder to kill off Owner as well. No ignite, it's a level 4 Nautilus, so you're not going to get that much value. And also, you're running out of mana now, because you cast your... Because you've cast your ult here as Jensen. You're running out of mana. He's got, like, what, 1 more W left in him? Ah, and he doesn't get... He tries to flash out of the combo, but just puts himself into a really bad spot. And the heal gives Owner enough kind of HP to come back, and that's just an absolute disaster. But Jensen can't respond to this in a good, timely manner because he's been shoved under turret the whole game. Oh, did they cancel the TP as well? I completely missed that. So that's a teleport there. Hang on. What the hell's happening there? Why have I got a friend request from... Is this actually Pabelta who's giving me an... I'm going to imagine that's not Pabelta, but... Why am I getting a friend request from Pabelta? No, that's not at the actual Pabelta. Sorry, it's just someone added me on Discord, and I'm pretty sure that's a fake Pabelta. Anyway, right. Too cute sub emoji. Thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. But they actually... Oh, he does actually cancel out the TP as well. That being said... Does the TP change much? Yeah, no, the TP actually would change a lot here because you have Flash Body Slam from Boppo. I think that it's still likely that you're only getting 1 back because there are a lot of flashes available from T1. And as we said, there's like a lot of tools in terms of the heal, the Callista ult and stuff like that also to kind of turn around and kind of continue this fight as well. But this is now absolutely disastrous again in terms of early game for Flyquest. Because I think T1 and BLG are the best teams in the world at playing through a bot lane lead. These teams, if they get and now you have a 6-kill. You have a 6-kill Kalista, and this is just tilt. This has got to be tilt, right? Because just think about it. Think about it here if you're Jensen. If you are Jensen here, you have had your game rocked from level 1 with carrier running into your lane twice. First, to stop you from answering to the, or assisting the level 1 invade. Second, on the way out of the level 1, and you get chunked again with double Halo Blades, effectively. First, one for level 1, and then it comes back up, and then the carrier gets to use that to kill the Nautilus and use the last of it on Jensen. His shit's been shoved in for 9 minutes straight, while T1 are running over your team when you're trying to respond. He just dies trying to protect this play in topside. And then he teleports in thinking, finally, I can get something in topside. And he dies trying to get 2 minions. He dies trying to get 2 minions in the next wave that comes in. I mean, okay, it's more than 2 minions. That's harsh. It is more than that. But, like, where did Carrier hit level 6 from, actually? When did he hit that? Did he get level 6 off the kills, or did he get off the cannon? Oh, he gets it off the kill. He gets it off the kill here. Maybe they just don't expect him to have level 6 because he didn't step out of vision. But I think if you press tab, you should be able... No, actually, I wonder if they don't have vision on carrier, they actually don't know he's 6. They don't know he hit 6 off that kill. Because think of it here, right? How does he hit level 6 and when? So he hits level 6 then. Oh no, he does... He auto-attacks out of the brush, so they should see him. They see him now. Because he auto-attacked out of the brush, they should see him, and they know he's level 6. I just don't know if it's registered. I don't know... I don't know if they see that. Or rather, like, not see it. They see it. I don't know whether they register it. I don't know whether they register it. And this is just... God, what do you do? What do you do here? Because, like, this Azir needs a lot of gold to cut through the Cassante and the Sejuani. Because you need Nashes, and then you need Leandries. And then you need... a pen item, probably. So you need 2-3 items to really be a damaging threat to the front line. And you've just died 2 times back to back, then used your teleport. And like, awful situation. You still have cholesterol, and you have barrier, so carrier can tank the Nautilus off the Nautilus stuff if he needs to, which is exactly what he's aiming to do. And they immediately use the cholesterol. They don't even need to use the barrier. And that's the best you get. The best you get is a cholesterol. How hard is it to get under T1's skin? It's very, very hard to get stuff for free. They make you fight for every cooldown you want to burn from the men. I think particularly on the defensive, once they're powerful, it's so hard getting anything out of T1. Very, very hard to get under their skin. Even if he doesn't hit 6, he should assume he can die. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think he actually probably dies if Carrier is still there. He still probably dies anyway. The fact that it's level 6 makes it completely out of the question that he can fight back. Because he used his ult, he used his flash, he was pre-1 item Azir. Yeah, that was always going to be pretty crap. And now the problem is that because these shenanigans have been so extended, and T1 have like managed to get good value throughout it, and they're still farming lots of waves, the fight is extended so much that Faker has his ult back, Owner has his ult back, Carrier has his ult back. And what we can see here as well is that I think that Faker is actually very... At this point, Faker is so strong, and... well, T1 is so strong, and... you know, typically, if you, at this point in the game, if Masu and Busio were much stronger on the Varus and the Nautilus, if you land a hook here, there's a chance that an arrow comes through from... Or, like, the ult comes through from Masu, and it kind of leads into a kill from Faker. Faker is happy to trade... if he puts down the E midway through the Nautilus hook, he gets stunned, and he just dies for here now. If he had looked to hook aggressively. If he had hooked aggressively, Busio dies. Because T1 is so strong. And T1 are very quick to respond with Gurman Carry as well. Now we have Gurman Carry taking up a mid lane position. This is very dangerous because once Ashe gets to be in mid lane and move either side of mid, it's much harder to predict where the next Ashe arrow is going to come from. And Ashe arrows can very much keep accelerating this game. So Flyquest can't get themselves any resources. Now, actually, this is... Where did Inspired come from? There's no camps up. Does he clear out a pink ward here? No, he doesn't clear out a pink ward. Does he get spotted on the ward topside, though? Who closed that ward? Jensen closed that ward. Yeah, Jensen closed that ward, so that means that Inspired isn't seen. And the pink ward in top jungle doesn't spot him either. So I think they have information on Inspired, and they think he won't be topside, but he is, because he just managed to slip over through the vision net. Faker trades back pretty well, but realistically he's still dead here, right? Burn a flash blow and burn ult. I mean, that's still good from Inspired to slip over vision, but what the hell's Busio doing here? I think Busio gets a little bit fooled thinking that he has numbers advantage topside. Once again, we've just talked about slipping off a vision, right? Carrier's doing the same thing. Arrow almost hits Inspired, man. Almost hits Inspired. If that arrow hits Inspired, I think actually Faker lives here, you know? Potentially. Because I think if that stun lasts long enough, Carrier can even potentially make it top lane entire. That stun is nasty when you don't have any tenacity, which I don't think Inspired has enough of right now. And Busio dies because, again, I think he's fooled by the fact that he thinks he has numbers advantage and he doesn't. Heal burned by Masu, 6 grubs for T1. This is how they ended the game so easily last game. They had Nash's Tooth and 6 grubs. It was really nasty. Well, they don't have Nash's Tooth now, but that was how they ended it last game. Okay. I mean, at least Flyquest are keeping up somewhat with XP. They're not falling behind in XP somehow, as much, anyway. Especially compared to, like, Astral, who are falling behind massively far in XP in the lane swap. Okay, Inspired doesn't have ults. So Faker's safe here. He doesn't have himself Seraphs yet. As soon as he gets Seraphs, it's very hard to take out this Talia. The extra shield is really annoying. Really can't wait for semis to give some LPL versus LCK. It is a crime that we're waiting so long for LPL LCK, but yeah. Well, whatever. We have to wait for that, I guess. So turret down on bot side now. And this is where the game gets even worse. It feels like it is a common thing we've been talking about this time. Which is... effectively that, you know, now your outer turrets are down in side lanes. T1 have global of Ashol and the semi-global of the Talia to... how the hell does he make it out of this? To kind of, like, punish the more open map from Flyquest while they have all of their turrets still standing. You have Ghost from Zeus, you have All Out, you have some Magic Resist as well. All Out, good... Well, he uses Whippo to kind of taxi his way out. Oof. That sucks, because you've just committed another couple of ults towards this. Flyquest don't really have cooldowns to spare now, because they're so far behind. They need these cooldowns to work out very well for them, especially the big ones like Cyclone for Inspired, who, as we said from Draft, the Wukong can be very strong in mid-game. He needs to be doing a lot of work now, and it's just very hard for him to do anything. The Varus is 3.5k behind a 7-kill Kalista, who has a Edge of Night as well. Good flash from Jensen. But the fact that, again, you have to use that flash sucks. 6 grubs hitting towers. Now you do... Yeah, you've got Ashe, who is actually pretty good at hitting turrets as well. This is just... Yeah. T1 are constantly pushing somewhere. They are not slowing at all. Every time... And the Ashe ult is a much shorter cooldown. Now you have, like, cooldown boots on Carrier, and you've got some... yeah, cooldown reduction in your kit. They've managed to establish vision control by pushing into top lane in a turret. Ona has his ult again. Masu doesn't have heal. He has flash, but can he use it in time? He has his ult. Needs to be a little careful there. Blast Cone gets Faker into range. Doesn't quite hit the combo, but they still take top lane inner turret, mid lane outer turret. Inspired doesn't have his ult still because he failed to kill Zeus on bot side. Whippo has flash and cask, but it's very hard to do that against a full flash team of T1. And now suddenly the gold lead's exploded to 8,000. So, that's fun. And now you do have the Seraphs and Faker as well. So items are starting to get racked up. T1 have full map control with multiple globals. They're very, very quick to move across the map. You're also getting to the point now where Carrier is going to start to get multiple points in E, which means that the cooldown for Hawkshot is going to get much lower. Doesn't quite land the ult there, but still the threat is so annoying for Flyquest. Cool to see that the rocks are placed so Jensen couldn't shuffle out and have to flash. Yeah, that's definitely an extra bonus as well, for sure. I think if you stop to press W and E, I think he would have self-CC'd himself basically in the W animation too long anyway. Even though it's only slight, it can be enough. Umbral Glaive for carrier is available too. Umbral Glaive means that the ward control is just so much better for T1 as well. Oh no, look, the game would have ended this time already in last game. But it ain't looking much better, folks. It ain't looking much better. They have Herald. Almost break that. That is just disgusting. You see the W being used because he stops, so that means you just throw an extra ult. Yes, you dodge the Ashe ult, but what about a second frozen ultimate? So that's jungler down, and as we said, the Wukong is probably the most important person in Flyquest team comp in mid-game because he's the one that actually has the like the first item spike going towards second item. Now the jungle's down. This, again, we talked about this in mid lane. I know I'm going quite fast for this, but this game is going so fast, so why not, right? Faker is happy to just throw out a combo, because if Busio hooks aggressively trying to stop Faker from hitting someone else, he dies. If he goes through the rocks, he dies. So he can't afford to do that, so Faker has a free play to just kind of ride in here. Cask tries to clear some of the wave, but you have double tanks tanking this now, which is really annoying. Again, 6 scrubs. So, bloody hell. In the last 2 minutes, we've had... Hang on, when did... So we're at 1834. When did the first turret... When did the top lane turret die? When did top lane turret die? When did that happen? In 3 minutes, they take top, they take mid, they take bot. Like 1 minute for each one, and we're at 1834, right? Jeez, they are just not letting up anything, man. And they're not doing it with huge, costly cooldowns and risky plays either. You know, the Ashe ult is the only thing which they're using. I mean, the Ashe ult and the Sejuani ult, they're quite long cooldowns, but they're not risky cooldowns. You know, if you hook into a bad target, sometimes the Nautilus dies. If you throw a Sejuani ult or an Ashe ult and either it misses or like it hits a target you don't want, you can always back off. Oof. Yeah, that's nasty. That's a huge amount of damage. The combo comes through. Jesus. That's so fun kind of play. What do you think about Zeus saying the Shy and Nuguri his favorite players and having the same stats as them in #1 isolated deaths, #1 forward percentage and lane percentage? I mean, yeah, I think that the way that Zeus trades in lane is very reminiscent of Shy. Of the Shy, rather. Shy is a different player. Shy is a great player too. Go back and watch like Season 3, Season 4 Shy. What a fucking player, actually. Yeah, I do think that the Shy was... If you saw him at Worlds, you might have an incorrect opinion of how he was over the entirety of 2023. Because that dude was losing a lot of games for his team. He was actually the worst part of Weibo for most of last year. But then again, he also did really well at Worlds, so, you know, give and take. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more after we've done this game. But in terms of Zeus and his playstyle. Okay, so now this is all before Baron has spawned. Of course, last game they didn't even get a chance to take the Baron. You've got your cooldowns back again. You have the Asher and you have the Sejuani ult, which is very powerful. This time it hits the Nautilus. Did Faker not have combo? Oh no, he just used it over the wall. Ah, that's... Oh, this is actually a little bit of a mistake mechanically from Goomer and from Faker, I guess. If you, or maybe it's from Carrier. I don't know what the comms are like. If you are going to throw an ult at Busio, you've just seen on screen here, Kalista uses Q, and of course the combo's off screen as well. If you had either of those cooldowns, maybe Busio dies here. And now because Faker tanks aggro and Busio has his cooldowns left, it means that Faker actually dies here. So that's a little bit of a micro misplay from T1's carries to not save their cooldowns for the important moment. Now, the problem is you still don't win the fight here from Flyquest very easily. You have a Cask. Maybe Cask can do something good. The Sejuani ultimate AoE slow here is really annoying for Masu. He's gone for poke. I didn't mention this either because it wasn't important, but it's poke Varus as well. It's not even DPS Varus, which is really annoying, I think. It means that you can't kill the tanks as easily. Zeus gets the blast cone. So all this is one kill. All it is one kill. After all that, it's one kill. You have all out as well. So Bwipo just overreaches. This is a common thing from Bwipo in this tournament. He just overreaches. Because of the regen from all out, Zeus actually gets to walk forward and then threaten again. Now, that was a good arrow from Masu and inspired to shut him down at least. So they get 2 kills out of this, but it's still a 2 for 2. And T1 can go towards Baron because Jungle's dead now. And also, they have a lot of their cooldowns back up. Ash Arrow is back available again. This is really... Oh, Ona messes this up too. If the Ash Arrow is going to be thrown, smite him before it lands. Get rid of the spell shield. So if he smites anytime before that, you can see the smite comes here. You're not playing against a Sivir, who you need to win the reaction battle with. This is just the Edge of Night. That's always available. Just smite him early. If you smite him early, then maybe the one thing he's trying to do is smite late, so Varus doesn't think he needs to flash. But if you're communicating that, you can smite a lot earlier than that. I think Ona just mistimes that one. And that would have been a dead Massey. And then as soon as Massey's dead, it is an absolutely uncontestable Baron, I think. Because he's alive, they just want to get towards their control a little bit more. I think Flyquest are hoping for a Baron throw. The problem is that T1 are a very good Baron team, probably the best Baron team in the world in terms of finding the angles for that. Okay, so cooldown's very much ready and available for T1 again. You have Crit Bloom from Faker, so he does even more damage to the front line, and also the first kill is going to give the Healing Wave, which allows you to kind of snowball through fights a lot better. Guma has Serilders on top of the Edge of Night. He is an absolute warhorse at this point. Feel like the show changed top lane as a whole since Season 8? Yeah, absolutely. He kind of showed you can play both carries and you can play... Because carry top laners were a thing in Season 5, but they kind of disappeared for a long time. He kind of brought them back in a large way. Yeah, I think Nogari and the Shy kind of showed how you can... Whippo, buddy. Was that realistically ever going to lead to a kill? I guess Faker didn't have flash. And Busio has flash. Yeah, that actually, if that cask lands, maybe Faker dies, but as it stands, it's just a dragon over. Actually, no, I mean, Whippo has no MR. If Faker gets phase rush, maybe Whippo dies, though. Right, so T1, how do you close this game now? I mean, there's Baron up and available, but Flyquest have actually managed to get some topside vision, while T1 were doing Dragon. But they overstay, and Busio just about lives. Just about lives, but at what cost? Now you don't have Nautilus available for the Baron. Nautilus is very, very important to allow Inspired a little bit more ability to stick onto a target. And Inspired, we talked about Inspired being very important for his team, right? In terms of as a player, but also as a champion in this game. The Wukong at 2 Open Spike is probably the most powerful member on FlyQuest. And he goes on to the support that has the Callista ult. That's just not it, Inspired. He goes too far in, he doesn't have flash, he gets hit by the combo, he dies for free. Why are you going onto the Callista ult Ashe? That's just not it. It's just not it. Inspired has been very, very poor in terms of his target selection and his execution of team fights. What the fuck is Faker doing? Alright, he has a stopwatch. Okay. Right. That was a play of all time. Guma is now, you know... Kerry almost dies there from an arrow. I mean, T1 have the stats to be doing weird shit, but this is still a little bit much, folks. So now, while all this is happening, Zeus immediately pushes out top lane. Oh, hang on. Flashes the Jensen combo. This is actually not a bad timing window from Jensen. Because Faker doesn't have ult, doesn't have flash, so he can't get, like, flash... I mean, not that you flash over a wall, but he can't respond to the play in time. Ona, I think, has just crossed over vision into the enemy jungle. Zeus would have to TP to the fight, and that would be a little too long. So this is actually a really good timing window by Jensen. This is about as good as it gets for him. But really, really, really good reaction flash from Guma. It's quite hard to flash. It's very hard to flash Zero ult. It feels like one of those the hardest skill shots in the game to flash. So that was really good from Jensen in terms of timing, and also Whippo was right behind him because Carrier doesn't have the HP to fight back. He has barrier, but that's about it. Problem is now you fail it. You've just committed both your solo laners, which are a lot of your wave clear, to somewhere else. Spire doesn't have Cyclone, so Zeus is like, look, I pushed out top lane. We still have Baron buff. I'm gonna push out bot lane now. Takes the bot lane, takes the top lane and hit turret with that push as well. Zeus just does not give a damn. Jeez. Inspired has ult now, but oof. Yeah, so T1 kind of quick shift from top lane to bot side, or like quick swap rather. Quick shift is a different thing. Or short shifting rather, that's different. Carrier once again has good cholesterol. It's very hard to engage onto him. Inspired has to flash the Ash arrow, which means it's much harder for him to get onto the targets he wants to. But it's such a cooler, shorter cooldown now for Carrier, who has, you know, a lot of cooldown reduction, and then also the second rank of the arrow. Talia ult to stop the wave clear being as readily available for the tower. 6 grubs. Man, you can't give 6 grubs to a team like T1. They're way too good at using them, man. Look, you can go on to Inspired like this. I mean, oh wait. Faker still has Seraphs. He's not got Zhonya's though. He used it in the last play around Raptors. Then Wolves rather, when he went in towards Wolves, I think. Okay, so yeah, that's actually a good pick onto Faker. But this doesn't stop the fact that you're using, you know, everything onto one carry. And that means you have nothing for Guma. And even at this point, Zeus, it can like just end these team fights. They have, what, is that Mikhail's or QSS for Massey? One of the two. Anyway, that's one of them. But, God, this is just not close. It's like trying to get blood from a rock. It's so hard to get anything out of T1 without overusing your cooldowns. Yeah, I mean, Ona dives double Nexus turrets, so that's a little easier. But, you know, T1... They've got too many... Their basic cooldowns are too valuable at this point. Flyquest have to use big ticket ultimates to try and outlast this game. No, Inspired actually gets some good shutdowns here, but... Yeah. Oh, come on. Busio should actually kill Guma, though. If he lands the hook, that actually kills him. Because he doesn't, game's over, right? Oh my god. Carrier's the better AD carry. Oof. Jensen almost manages it, you know, almost. Anyway, I mean, I think T1 in this game just really showed how good they are keeping on pressure and using their cooldowns on cooldown in good ways to force Flyquest to continually respond and never have the ability to save farm. Okay, folks, I'm going to take a quick break. So that's us done with the T1 thing. I'm going to go over top esports Fnatic after this. And then, yeah, then we'll see what happens after that. I probably won't do Flyquest PSG today. Anyway, maybe I'll do that at a later date, but not today. I need the break, really. Not the break. I need to take care of myself. I don't want to like overdo it. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the toilet real quick, and then I'll be back. One sec, folks. One sec.